Good day. Nick from Vulcan Gun Refinishing here. Well, we got ourselves another one. This one's something new for me. I've never done one of these before. I've always admired them and looked at them, but I've never done one. Never had any requests to do one. Possibly that video I just did on that Mauser rifle might have given this guy an indication that I'll do anything. So it's in for a re-blue. It looks like it's basically got the original bluing on it, although the barrel has just been changed. We're in Canada here, and the standard length barrel on a Luger puts it in a special class that's very difficult for most people to get that license, to get that permit. And then even once it is in that class, you really can't do anything with the gun anyway. You got to just kind of look at it. You can't shoot it, you can't take it anywhere, you can't really do anything with it. So he had this slightly longer barrel installed, and that at least moves it into another class that's possible to get a permit for. So now he can at least enjoy this a little bit. So the rest of it looks, like I say, like original bluing. We see some of that pinky purple color of that spring right there. I want you to pay attention to that right there, because a lot of the bluing we do, the parts come back in that color, and I've had a lot of people argue with me and say that that's completely wrong and it should never be that color. Well, here we go. Here's something right there I haven't even started on. It's already that color. So we'll see what it looks like when it's done. So just doing a quick inspection of it today. One of the first things I should do before we go any further is pull the mag out. I mean, I already know this, we already looked at it, but just for safety's sake, pull the mag out, make sure there's nothing in the mag, so that's empty. And then we can pull the action back, and we can see in the chamber there that there's no ammunition, no rounds in it whatsoever. So it's safe to shoot, no problem. So like I say, it's in for a re-bluing, and any little rust issues or dents or any little things that aren't quite right. We can see that serial number is 3513, and almost everything has the corresponding, the 13, at least the last couple digits. You can see, as I move it slowly, you can see basically everything, that is numbered. Even the mag, you get that mag again for 1 second, even the mag is matching, so that's good. So let's have a look at the other side here real quick. I'm not sure if anything is numbered on this side. My knowledge of Lugers is about zip, but I'm a fast learner. There's so much reference on these. So once again, we got 13. It's a BYF. I know that's a specific German manufacturer's code, but I don't know who that is, whether that's Mauser or who that was. We got 13 again on those parts. So you can see it's and 42. So you can see it's quite a nice gun. It hasn't been beat up or abused. You see right there one little issue, the grip. There's appears to be a piece missing out of the grip right here. Corner's busted off of that wooden grip. So I don't know if he'll want to get new grips or whatever. But I mean, grips aren't bad. Check ring's not all beat to death. There's a little bit of wear down here at the bottom, but that's all right. That's minor detail. How's the other grip? Yeah, the other grip is not bad either. A little bit of flattening, a little bit of damage, a couple of teeth are broken off in the check ring right there, but a little bit of wear, even amount of wear on both sides, so that's good sign. We can see right there, that's another reason he wanted to get this gun refinished, is you can see just how bad, when I get even closer, you can see just how bad that pitting is. Looks like there was a piece of tape or something, because I can see, you can definitely see, and you can see it a little bit on the grip, but not as easy to see. But there's a line runs through. Yeah, you can see it there. You can see that dark line right there. See that dark line right there as it runs all the way, and then around the grip, same width. Don't see it quite so much on this grip, but so somebody had a piece of tape or something wrapped around there to, who knows what they were trying to do. Was that going to stop the rust? But anyway, if we have a look there, you can see just that's quite deep and we haven't done a thing to it yet. You can see if I move it how deep those pits are. So there's a good chance that that's going to need welding. And I can see the graining in the metal there too, quite pronounced. Down there is, once again discolored, and by the time I bead blast that, you can see all the little dots of discoloration in here. So that's most likely going to be pits as well. I mean, overall it's not bad. There's a little bit of damage there. You can see a few little chips in the metal on that circular area right there. So I'll get in there. Well, we'll do it the usual treatment. You can see little tiny, they're not bad, but you can see little tiny dings and marks along all these leading edges. They get all banged and beaten. I mean, this thing is, over 70 years old, so it's bound to get a little bit of damage even when you're trying to take care of it. Grip screw doesn't look bad. Looks like it might be a little bit of some pitting or something going on. Right in here. You can see that's kind of pitted looking. Looks like might be something creeping out from under the grip here. Don't know, haven't pulled the grip off yet. It's got this machined raised portion here on the back of the grip. Not sure 100% what that might be for. Is it possible that some of these took a accessory shoulder stock maybe? There's another shot of that pitting from that angle. So you can see it's pretty deep. That's definitely going to require some help. Whether I have to get it welded, I don't know yet. The rest of it, once again, you got the discoloration in the metal there, which to me is always a warning sign. I can see the graining in the metal quite evident there. That's going to be something we'll be very, very careful of, is to make sure that graining runs in all the same directions that it does now. In that hollow there, you can see quite a bit of machining marks in here. So we'll basically leave that alone. There's no real issues. I see a little tiny bit of, a couple maybe pits in there, but I'd like to leave that machining intact. As you can see along this raised edge here, how it's got little bits of damage, dings and marks and pitting. So here's our red spring again. And you can see just, if you look close, you can see just in here, it just looks, by the time we bead blast that, all those little marks in there could very well be pits. I've been trying to really tell everybody that. I've learned that from doing all these refinishings. The bead blast just opens up every bit of damage. When there's different spots of coloring, like you can see along this edge here, you can see how it's kind of mottly. Definitely going to be rust. I can see the trigger there. You can see the face of that trigger. See all the mottling on there. And that would make sense. That's where your finger, your sweaty finger, would be one of the first places you'd wear the bluing off. So it would stand to reason that the sweat of your finger then would start attacking that bare metal. So once I bead blast, once I get this thing assembled and I start bead blasting, I wouldn't be surprised if the face of this trigger is all going to be pitted. And I see a little bit more rust activity along this trigger guard right in here. You can see it. In fact, I can feel it with my pointer. I did notice another area too right there where that's going to be, you can already see the discoloration, and really you can kind of see some pitting already in that spot. If I can get up close, we get a little cooperation there we go. You can see the machining in there too, the graining on the bottom of that piece, and the pitting. So, like I say, the bead blast, that's going to give us all our answers. Once we bead blast it, we'll have a really good, true indication of its actual condition. But experience has shown me that almost any time it's discolored, there's rust. So, but, like the top there looks pretty good. I don't see too many issues. It's quite nice. Once again, I see all that graining. So that's something we'll pay extremely close attention to. I'll take lots of pictures, and I'll have this video to refer to. You can see how the graining changes directions. You can see it quite evident there. It runs in one direction, it switches and goes in another direction. So we'll try, well, we won't try, we will duplicate that. This has a bit of sheen to it, so we simply can't bead blast it and blue it. It would be too dull. And some of that graining in there would be a little tiny bit diminished, you know, by the bead blasting. I'm not saying bead blasting takes metal away, but it does disguise or diminish the graining a bit. So we have no choice but to go back in and regrain it, because we got to get the brightness of the metal back up so the bluing will look right, so it's not dull. Plus we have to, you know, pronounce that graining again. It's going to be a little bit diminished by the bead blasting. So you can just see all the different directions everything runs in there. So it's really quite amazing. It's fascinating. I really enjoy these now. I love doing that metal finishing. So it's got all of its German markings. Very nice. Got to be a little bit careful here because there's a little bit of metal damage right here. You can see if I when I move it in the light, you can see how the light bounces it. So a little bit of damage right there, and up on the other edge of that line. You see how that line's a little bit deformed? The line looks really, really good all the way along, and then right about here it starts getting funny. So I'm going to have to go back in and talk to that metal and get that back to a nice sharp crisp line, but at the same time we do not want to lose any of those German markings, and that graining's got to be back in there too. So it's challenging, but it's rewarding. It's fun. So more markings, more nice matched serial number again. So it's a beauty. You know, a little bit of damage there. There's a little ding by my thumb right there, and another kind of a symbol. I don't know what that symbol means, but a little bit of rust along the edge there. Maybe now we can have a better look now at what I was trying to show you earlier. Yeah, there you can see it. So there's rust on that trigger guard as well. You can see that. And there's graining. You can see all that graining in there. So we're going to go ahead and get this torn down, bead blasted, and we'll have a little bit better look at it then. That'll give us that'll uncover all our sins once we bead blast it. So, but overall, it's a nice example. It's not all beat up. I mean, I know I'm going to get a lot of criticism from some, you know, hardcore collectors that this should have never been restored or touched. And but you know, what are you going to do with that? I mean, if we don't do something with that, you can see how deep that is. No argument there. And that's cancer. That's just cancer. So that cancer has to be blasted out of there, has to be dug out of there, or ground out of there, or whatever has to be done to kill it, get it out. And then we may even have to add more metal. You can see the graining quite plainly in that grip strap, so I'll have to duplicate all that as well. But the pitting is just something that we just can't ignore. No matter what you do, you're not going to stop that pitting. You've got to kill that rust, kill that cancer. And then on this side, it's, you know, just as bad, if not worse. So once again, if you don't refinish this gun, you're not doing it any favors. It's just going to rot before your eyes. So that's it on the pistol for this very moment. And I just want to have a look at the mag, because the mag's got some issues. Well, it's got that aluminum bottom. I know some of the early ones had a wooden bottom, but I'm not don't know much about Luger, so I don't know when they changed. It's got a funny symbol right there as well. I don't know what that stands for, but the bottom's in good shape, and being aluminum, it's fairly soft. It's easy to get damaged, but this one's not bad. You know, got a little bit of activity around the edge there, a little bit, but no big deal. But here's my biggest concern. You can see the deformity in the metal right here. It's bulged, pushed out there. It's pushed in there. It's got another spot I noticed. Yeah, right here by my thumb. You can see the metal's pushed in on that corner, so it's bulged out on the side. I can feel it plain as day. So the follower doesn't go down in there very well. You can get a couple rounds, 3-4 rounds in there, and then it starts fighting you. So I'm going to take the mag apart. Okay, you can see that whole bottom section is caved in. That line, you can see how that line dips in and back out again. So I have to get in there and talk to that, get that straightened out. Plus the mag itself, we can see it. We should be able to. The mag itself has graining. So once we're done repairing the damage and verifying that the mag functions properly, we'll load it right up, make sure it takes all the rounds nice and smooth. So once that's done, then we'll go back in and we'll regrain it before it gets blued. So we'll make her look right. So anyway, so that's it. That's the preliminary view of our first Luger that we've done, but I'm eager to do it, and it should be fun, and I'm pretty sure how it's going to look when it's done. They don't go out the door unless they're, unless they meet my approval. So, but anyway, follow along as I do this one, and we'll see how we can make it look. So we've got it all bead blasted now, and everything looks good. No major surprises. It's in nicer shape than I thought it might be. I was worried about some areas of pitting. I thought they would get a lot worse after the bead blasting, but they're not too bad. They need attention, but they're not too bad. One of the things we discussed with the customer, we haven't done anything yet. I wanted to talk to him and make sure that he was good with the idea. After taking these grips off and looking at them, we can see that they're both number 13. So they're obviously the original grips for this gun. But the one has got a corner broken off right here. You can plainly see that. So I talked to the customer about it and recommended to him that either we replace them or we could try and repair that. We could glue a piece in there. It sits in the frame. Let's get the frame for a second. It sits in the frame right basically like that, more or less like that. So you can see how much is missing. So we'd have to put a little piece right in here. But that shouldn't be a major deal, and I think as long as we can get the checkering to look, reasonably decent, then we'll get away with it and we'll be able to use the original grips, so that's nice. So we're going to go ahead and boil those grips, and then it'll be nice and clean, and glue and everything will stick like mad. So we'll deal with them. I'll show you how those are coming along in a little bit. But let me just go over these parts real quick. The frame was my biggest concern because it had pitting. You can see a little bit right there. And when I turn it, you can plainly see that pitting I was worried about on the grip. So it's definitely something to be concerned about. You can see how deep those are. They didn't really get too much worse once it was bead blasted. I mean, a little bit, but not bad. But you can see there that they're going to need attention. I don't believe we're going to have to get any welding done, but a little bit under there, but I really can't do a lot with that unless I filled it in with weld. Because if I take away any material from this edge right here, you'll see it when the grip goes on. There'll be a low spot, there'll be a gap there, because the grip should touch the metal all the way along this edge. So if I take a little bit of metal away from this edge right here, you'll see it in the gap. So I'm not sure yet what I'll do with that. I'll discuss it with the customer. It's going to be hidden once the grip's reinstalled. I've got a little bit too on this side. You can see a little bit of scattered pitting, but it's not horrible. So that's that for the back side of it. And then the front side had some scattered pitting as well, so you can see that pretty plain. So we'll go ahead and address that. Once again, I don't know if it's going to need welding. It's they are kind of deep. You can see a little bit more pitting, going along that edge. I imagine it's pretty typical for these, what with the grip, wooden grip retaining the water. But those were really the only real major issues on this gun, was that, and there was a little tiny bit of damage, I'll show you in a minute, when a barrel was installed by somebody. It wasn't me, but somebody installed a barrel and didn't quite get it right. I'll show you that in a minute. But other than the pitting that we just talked about, this thing is really in pretty nice shape. Not bad at all. I took really careful drawings. I made careful drawings of how all the graining went on every piece in every direction, because I knew that once it was bead blasted, it'd be a lot more difficult to see that graining, and I was right, it is. So we'll go ahead and we'll be referring back to my notes as I regrain this thing. There's no point in doing this if we're not going to regrain it. So we got a little tiny bit of pitting going on there. No, a little bit right in here. Not bad, but a little tiny bit. We'll have to correct that as well. But overall, not bad. Eager to do my first Mauser. Everything is beautifully matching on this one. Move the camera up a little. Everything's beautifully matching. I don't know what that symbol means. I'll have to research that a little bit. There's that 3513 again. Now we got a little bit of damage. You know, we got odd bits of damage here and there. Like, you know, you got some dings and stuff here, and just miscellaneous odds and ends, but not nothing horrible. Originally, these letters were filled with white paint. I'll have to research that a little bit better and see if that should be highlighted once it's all re-blued. Whether I have to go back in and put paint in there or not. But, you know, a couple little dings and marks along the edge of the trigger guard, and that's to be expected. You know, leading edges always get banged up and beat up a little bit, especially, you know, something that's, you know, 70 years old. So other than those rust issues, which I'll have to talk to the customer about, on the inside at least, the outside, like I say, I haven't made up my mind yet whether we're going to fill that or just file that away. We'll have to, once again, you know, if I take away too much material, it's going to be noticeable. If we're going to get welding done, we should really do a metallurgy test and see what kind of steel this is. See if we can get a rod that somewhat matches it. But other places are just nice and clean. You can see that graining in some of those areas, but not real prominent anymore. So that's it for the frame. Now we've got the barrel. Get this out of my way. Okay. So now we've got the barrel, or the upper part with the barrel attached to it, and no major problems with this. Couple, you know, obviously a couple little minor dings, but this is the area where someone, from changing the barrel, you can see it in the light here a little bit. They got a little bit of damage right in here, and then up on that line. You can see how the line's really nice as it moves along. Nice, and all of a sudden, boom, we get into some. So whoever changed this barrel didn't have a very good fitting receiver wrench, and that's where those problems came in. I got to be super careful with them Waffen amps too. We don't want to lose them in the repair process. So barrel is you know, an aftermarket or whatever. No markings at all on the barrel. So, and as far as pitting on this piece, there's not a hell of a lot. We can see a little bit when we move it in the light again. You can see just a little bit of damage. Sorry, a little bit of damage right on this edge right here. If I move it just the right way, you can see how that line is crooked. You can see there the metal has been deformed just a little bit right on this edge, right on that leading edge. So I'll have to rework that metal a little bit, try and get it a little bit nicer looking. That 3513 again. So this piece is very nice as far as rust pitting. There's practically really none. You know, a couple little minor marks and issues, but nothing of any concern. We'll get that cleaned up. So it'll be nice. This one will come out really good. The graining is going to be the only issue, because it was graining going in many directions. And like I say, I took good notes, so we shouldn't have any problem putting it back together. I'm seeing now, even here looks like they buggered the line up just a little bit right there. You can see how it's not as sharp as it used to be. It's real sharp right here, and then all of a sudden there's kind of a little flattening right there. So we'll have to deal with that, but not a biggie. So that's that piece. The other part that needed attention was the magazine. Magazine had this dent in it right here, this bit of damage right in here, so the follower wasn't going down. And he had another dent a little higher up too, and it was affecting. You couldn't even get more than about 4 rounds in this thing without it fighting you. So we'll have to check it over carefully. And I know there was another area that was pushed in. Oh, right there, I can see it right there. That's dented right there. That's going to affect the follower. You can see how it's pushed out a little bit. Whenever it goes in somewhere, it usually has to come out somewhere. So it went in there and it bulged out here, and it looked like it maybe bulged a little bit right there. So that'll have to be addressed. And then of course that major damage right there. Once again, we got some nice Waffen amps that we got to preserve. We got to be really careful, and that's right where we got to work. So it's it adds to the difficulty. is we got to work that metal back to where it should be, and we're pretty much going to have to hit that with a file or something. And so we got to be so ever evident of those markings. So, but as far as pitting and stuff, it's not bad. This had graining in it, so once again I'll duplicate the graining before it gets blued. Try and make it look as good as the Germans made it. I noticed a lot of the pictures that I've looked at on the internet, researched a little bit, because this is my first Luger, so I've been researching a little bit, and I've looked at pictures of examples that were finished, you know, before and after, and I don't see any of them having been regrained. They just get bead blasted and then re-blued, and well, I mean, they look okay, but why not make them look like they did when they come right out of the factory? So there's that number 13 again. Everything's matching on this gun. There's not one piece that I found that isn't matching, so that's good. That's a nice, really nice bonus. So just a matter of getting back in there and regrain. I know it's not easy. It's a difficult operation to regrain, but gee, that's what really makes them look proper. So you can't refinish one without doing that, I wouldn't think. But it's always up to the customer what his money is. So what else we got? There was this piece here I was concerned about because it had a fair amount of, you know, like surface rust on that bottom edge, but you can see there that it's not very pitted. I mean, a little bit, but not bad. Just a little bit, so we'll clean that up. A little bit of damage along this bottom edge. You can see a couple places where it's got some dings in it, but nothing major. Once again, that serial number. So we'll look this over carefully and make sure, once again, I made notes of which way the graining goes, so we won't make any mistakes there. So, what else we got? So basically everything is blasted, bead blasted, and we've got all our little pins and little springs and pins and screws in here, so we don't lose them. What else we got? Well, nothing of any concern. Nothing has really any issues or damage. Just everything is nicely bead blasted. I don't know if we can get a good shot of that or what. Probably not, eh? Oh, maybe. There we go. Yep. Alright, good. So there again, number 13 again. So everything's looking good. BYF. I take it that's Mauser. Oh, something else too that I discovered in researching the Luger is when I did that Mauser rifle, I inaccurately referred to the metal graining as strawing, because that's the term that was given to me by a German collector. He said that all that graining is known as strawing, but from what I've gathered on the internet from researching it, strawing doesn't have anything to do with the metal finish. That's the color that some of these springs steal when they refinish it. It's supposed to be a straw color. So strawing doesn't have anything to do with the graining, from what I'm gathering. It's just the color. There's the bottom of the mag. Once again, it's matching, but it's got a few. There we go. A few little dings along its edge. You can see them there. Being aluminum or an aluminum alloy, being soft like that, that's to be expected. I'm amazed it's not in worse shape. I mean, it needs a little help, but we should be able to file that down and keep it looking reasonably accurate. So we don't want to lose that piece. That's the original piece. So, but I think that'll clean up really good. So basically, that's about it. I mean, just want to give a quick look at everything now that it's bead blasted. We're going to go ahead and some of the internal parts that won't be visible, well, that'll be visible, and that'll have that was that spring that was that kind of a maroonish reddish color. So it'll be interesting to see if it comes back that same color. It should. Most of the spring steel we have done, especially German guns and that, it comes back that reddish color, so that's good. But everything else is pretty good. Everything else is, nice. Once again, we got the good number there. So it's nice that you get one that hasn't been all butchered and worked on by somebody else. So this will be the first butcher to get his hands on it, so that's good. But that's about it for preliminary look at all the bead blasted stuff. We do all the springs and everything, make all the springs look new again. So it's try to make it look as good as we can. So I'm going to go ahead and get busy on the graining and the various metal finishing, and I'll keep you in the loop as I move along, and we'll see we'll see what we can make this thing look like. So stay tuned. Well, after thinking about it for a couple of days or so and reviewing this frame, looking at it a little bit closer and looking at those pits that we found earlier, I decided that it was certainly best, in the best interest of the pistol, to get those spots filled in with weld, because they were fairly bad, as you could see. And the more I looked at them, the closer I looked at them, the more I could see that it would be, you'd be removing just too much metal. So you can just see the rows. I'm going to move in real nice and slow. But you can just see the rows of welding. You can see how tiny, how precise that welding is. And you'll notice there's no heat coloring beyond the edges. I mean, you can see that the heat just isn't even a factor with this laser welding. That's why I've been using it so much lately. It's a little more costly than just regular TIG welding, but there's just almost guaranteed you're not going to get any warpage, or you just see the rows and rows of welding. There's still a little bit of pitting there that is not very significant that I can file out of there, but the areas that were really, really bad, I mean, just look at that, look at the detail of that welding, how many rows there are there. So the places where it was really bad, then we went ahead and had it filled in with with weld. But now, we didn't do a metallurgy test on it simply because costs on this job are definitely a bit of a factor for the customer. So we're going to use, we used a rod that we used on Mauser rifles that gave us outstanding results after it was blued. So we're going to take a chance that the metallurgy on the Mausers is very similar to the metallurgy on this. And this still has to go in and get annealed. Just look at those rows of welding. Isn't that something? They always amaze me. So now we can go ahead and we can file that all away, and we don't have to remove very much metal, because the rest of this up here, where we're seeing that pitting there as I work my way up that grip strap, that's not very bad. It's not very deep, so I can take that much metal away without it being apparent. But right there, kind of, in the middle almost, you just couldn't take that much metal away. The pits were too deep. You'd see a variance in the metal, and I would have had to take so much metal away in that surrounding area to try and blend it all in that it would have just really been not really good for the sake of the pistol. So you can see where they with their laser weld, they actually came over the edge. They built it up over the edge. You can see that on the left side there. I got a pointer. You can see how they actually, it sticks up over the edge. It stops my pointer. So they built it up, so the whole edge is now rebuilt, because the grip goes right almost to the edge. So if you don't get that right, it'll be noticeable. So once again, you can just see how I had that all built up and filled in, so that we've got lots of meat there to work with now. I can file that down really nice, and we'll get all that pitting filled in, and we'll get this frame looking like new again. So I feel a lot better now. Like I say, I'm just finicky like that. I want it, I want to give the best job that I possibly can. The pistol deserves that. So this gun came from a fair ways away, so let's make the trip and the expense worth it all. So the rest of it I'm happy with. The rest of the pitting or any issues is really quite minor, very minor. We'll put the graining back in there and everything when we're done too. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that welding again, and so we'll get going on that part, and I'll keep you in the loop as I'm moving along. So I've been working away on this Luger receiver now, and if you remember, it had that little bit of damage there from sloppy barrel replacement. The receiver wrench obviously didn't fit very well. So I just spent a couple minutes with a hammer and a flat tip punch to just try and move the metal back close to where it needs to be. So you can already see that line they used to be so buggered up is at least coming back in a little bit, and that's with no filing or anything. I got to be careful with those markings. Can't lose those waffle amps, that's for sure. As you can see how close I am to the damage, though it's not going to be real easy. And then down there on that rail, that lower rail, they had distorted this a little bit too, so I worked on that. Got that looking a little bit better now. So, and same with that one, they buggered that one up too, so you can see I've got that looking a lot better. They'd flattened it, or they'd rounded it off a little bit right here as well, so I got that looking pretty good. So the next step now is to hit it with a stone. I'm going to take a stone, or, well, I'll try a stone. You could use a file too, but stone just a little bit more careful. And I'll see if I can go ahead and get that damage out of there without damaging those waffle amps. So we'll see how we make out. Been working away on this upper part. I want to keep calling it a slide, but so you'll have to excuse me. So used to working on 1911s, but if I call it a slide, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this is the one that had the damage on it. So you can see I've been working away, and I got that damage out of there nicely. And I've even gone in and grained this. I gave it a 60 grit graining. You'll see that the markings are still very, very nice. Very careful about those. And that line, even though that line was so buggered up, now it looks very nice. And the graining, if you pay attention to the graining, you can see it goes in that direction up on top by the 42, and then it changes direction on the sides here and goes horizontal with the piece. So I've got a little bit of touching up to do, and in fact I haven't even really grained this side hardly at all. I haven't gone back here at all yet. But I worked on, we had a little bit of damage in the receiver in this area as well. So I've just about got that beaten. You just see a little bit there under the serial number. I'm just going to talk to that a little bit more. I don't want to take too much metal away though, but it's real close. But my main concern, you know, was that body line there, and that looks really good now. And like I say, while I was there, I got that side all grained. I got the top all redone. So that's going to look really good. That's going to give it a nice, you know, military, a bright but a military finish, not super bright. But and the barrel I haven't done anything with yet, so I got to still do some graining on that. But we've made progress on a lot of other parts that I thought we should talk about. I didn't grab the camera, and I should have, but sometimes we just get working and I forget to film stuff. So we had sent this frame in. We'd sent this frame in because we had welding done to it. We sent it in and we had it annealed after it was welded. I showed it to you when it was welded. So now it's been annealed, and we started working on it. You can see the graining running horizontal. Now, this isn't the finished graining because this has to go back in and be hardened. As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, was we went ahead and we had all that area, we had the whole frame annealed so that we could work on that area where we had the welding done. If you remember, that was all welded up for pitting. We built up all the side over here as well. There was a big row of, you know, a big bead of welding, basically down both of these front and rear edges for the most part. You remember it in the video. This whole area here was all rebuilt with weld, and a little bit on the back side here, I think. And then on that front was all built up. So you can see now that's looking good. And on the back was all welded up too. So you can see now that looks just superb. So this is just more or less, I think this is 100 grit that we've grained this in. Now we've done the graining in the same direction that it's going to go in, but it's still, this slide is still, or frame is still in its softened state because it's been annealed. So we went in and cleaned up around the trigger guard, around the front of the frame. So we got rid of any and all pitting or little marks or dings. We grained inside the trigger guard. It might be a little hard to see that, but we went inside, cleaned it up. That was a little rusty inside that trigger loop. So everything's been brightened up. You know, anything that's visible has been gone over. But like I say, this is just 100 grit. So what we'll do is we'll send it in now tomorrow. You see the graining on the bottom. That's all how that should be. I was very careful. Made really good drawings and notes of how all that stuff went, so that we would make sure it'd be the same way when I was finished. That's going to look just superb. The graining, you can see it runs in different directions there. It runs back and forth on the main part of the rear of the frame there, and then it goes, goes up and down in these little cutouts here, and that's exactly how it was. So we're very careful to duplicate that. So, and we're careful to preserve all the sharp lines. Everything looks really good. So this will go in tomorrow and get rehardened, and then once it gets back, we'll bead blast it and grain it for the final time in 60 grit. This is 100 grit, so it's fine right now, but it's going to get a little bit more a deeper grain, a little rougher grain. It's a military gun, so they weren't, it wasn't super fine finished like a hunting rifle would have been. But anyway, that's it. You've noticed we saved all the nomenclature. If I can get a little cooperation there or not. But anyway, the serial number is fine. And that little symbol that I haven't researched that symbol yet, but that symbol survived quite nicely. So another major challenge, boy, this was a toughie. This was extremely hard to repair. This magazine was badly damaged. It had issues just everywhere. It was bent and dented and twisted. The follower wouldn't go down. It would only hold about 4 rounds or something. So now it's quite nice. I worked on it and worked on it and worked on it. So we got it, it's really good. There's just a little, I saved the markings beautifully. Let's see if I can get a good shot of that, because I went through a lot of trouble to make sure that those markings would be preserved. And you can see them right there. There we go. 1, 2, 2. And then the eagle, whatever. And I did my absolute best to try and repair all the damage that was in that area. There was a lot of dents right around that number, so I got it, it's 95%. I just didn't want to play in that area too much more and diminish those markings. So you can see just the slightest bit of activity in the metal around those serial numbers, but you know what, we have to draw the line somewhere. I'm going to diminish them numbers if I mess with that anymore. There was another symbol up there, so that got saved beautifully, no problems at all. So basically we got all the dents out. There was a fair amount of damage on that rear, on the rear of that mag, so she's looking really nice now. No more dings, no more damage. A little bit of, there's one, it's like a fairly deep pit right there, but I'm not going to worry about it. You see it right there by my thumbnail. It was in there. I think it's actually a pinhole in the weld. The back of this magazine looked like it might have been welded up and then metal finished smooth or something, and that might be a pinhole in their weld. But everything else is looking good. You can remember how dented this was, and now she's running nice and true. It's nice and straight, and I did all along the front there. There was a bit of pitting too, but it's so difficult to work on this because look at how thin that is. That's super thin. It's a good thing I've got experience repairing car moldings, because this is basically the same kind of situation I have with those. But overall, I'm real happy. That graining looks really good. She's nice and straight. It really, I made sure to have the graining go a little bit different direction right in that area right there, which it did right from the factory. So that's exactly the way it was. All the graining runs left to right on this, except for right in there, it runs the other way. So, and I duplicated on the, everywhere that it was. In here it runs. In here it runs the same way as the rest of it, not like it does here where it runs the other way. So very careful to duplicate that. And one of the important things too that you've got to make sure of after you repair this mag is that it fits. So it fits nice, goes up in there nice and smooth, there's no issues. So that mag's going to be good. The bottom, we repaired the bottom. There's the bottom right there. We preserved the serial number and that symbol. We might just give that, we fixed, pretty much all the dings and dents that were in it. And right now it's a bead blasted finish, so I might grain that a little bit, brighten it up a little bit. And that'll fit right in the bottom. That goes right in the bottom of that mag. it's not just a drop in. You know, I got to wiggle it and jiggle it a little bit to get it in there, but not bad. It does go in there. So once I get that in there, we'll put the pin back through. So that'll be good. That'll be good for that. And then the follower now falls all the way through, no problem. So he's got himself a nice looking and usable mag again. So we got that out of the way. That bottom piece is done. There's a side plate. We preserved that serial number perfectly. They had a bit of pitting in this, so we got that cleaned up, and it's all been grained. Anything that shows has all been grained in the proper direction. I notice it changes direction right here. It goes left to right just in this little section, and the rest of it is all up and down. So that's exactly there. It runs left and right there, but on the face it's just that one little area is done differently. So we made sure we duplicated that. So you can see there's no pitting anymore. There's nothing. So when that's blued, that's going to look absolutely beautiful. And we've got our part of our toggle. So we made sure we got all that graining in there just nice. So that's going to look very, very nice. The safety, you know, the loaded chamber indicator, everything's going to look just super when that's all back together. I can't wait to see this one done. And we got the other part of the toggle here. So this just all looks really nice. It's going to be just excellent. It's going to be really nice to see that gun all finished. What else we got? We got our trigger. Trigger had some issues, if you remember correctly. So we've got that looking quite nice now. We've got all the graining in there like it should have. Cleaned the face up. The face had a bit of corrosion and some little bit of rust. So we got that cleaned up. So the sides are going to look really good. They look exactly the way they were. What else we got? We got the two screws, grip screws. So they're good to go. They're looking excellent. Nice. What else we got? All the pins, you know, and make sure the pins look good. We got our mag button. So that's got nice graining. That's going to look good. And we got our, I forget what this piece is called now. Not up on my Lugers very well, but it turned out very good. So it's got graining in it. The part that shows anyway, got graining in it. So we didn't diminish the number at all. That all looks good. So no numbers or markings of any type were hurt or destroyed, or you see there, that's the part that we're going to see. So that looks good. Yeah, nothing was diminished at all in the process. So this here, all it shows on this is this part here. That's your safety. So that's all we worried about, and around, you know, around the edge. But this part that's underneath here is in the gun, so we weren't too worried about giving that any graining. Trying not to waste your money. There's that 13, nice and crisp and sharp. And here's the last piece. Remember, this spring was that kind of reddish purple spring that was on the side of the gun. So we regrained it. Looks good. So when we send that back in and get everything black oxided, this should theoretically come back that pinky reddish purpley color. A lot of the pieces we do send in come back that way, even though they didn't look that way when we got them. So, well, that's about it. So, so I'm real happy. This is looking good. It's a nice to get this this far down the line. He's got himself a pretty nice looking pistol there. So we haven't got much left now. Send the frame in and get it rehardened, regrain it, finish graining the upper part, which is almost done anyway, and then blue it. Send it out for black oxide. We're just starting on the grips. And I made sure that the grips fit the frame along that edge very exact. We made sure we didn't take too much metal away or anything, so the fit is still perfect. So we still got to glue that piece into the stock, into that wooden grip, but we'll get that done. So I'll keep you in the loop as I'm moving along, but we're getting pretty close to the finishing line on this one. We got our frame back from the heat treaters, and we had it hardened back up to its original Rockwell, which is about 35. So it's not super hard, but it's not really soft either. So all the welding has been filed down and metal finished. We took the gun to 100 grit, and there we go. We got all our Everything looking good. There's no more issues, dents, dings, gouges, pits, nothing. And now she's hardened, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to regrain it. Well, we'll give it the proper graining. We originally only grained it to 100, but now we'll take it to 60, and that'll make her look just factory fresh and new again. So this part's done. That's an important part out of the way, so that's good. I'll get going on that in the next day or two. And then we have the grips. We boiled them once already, so you can see they look really, really good. That boiling is quite a nice process. You can see how clean that. Just look at how clean that wood comes out. I mean, there's just nothing else that would get it that clean. We got one little corner, but you can see that's an old crack. It's even got dirt and rust in it, so that's been cracked for a while. So we've got to be careful with that. We'll glue that back together. But this grip is good. Other than that, you know, some of the minor bits of damage in the checkering even came out in the boiling process. So once again, that boiling is just absolutely super. And you can see there's no damage, there's nothing been compromised on this at all. You can see the rust, how much rust there was there, being transferred from that metal onto this wood here. So that damp wood just ate away at that steel in that gun. So, and here's the other one. This grip is the one that had the piece busted out of the corner there, that upper corner. So we've got to go ahead and replace that. We're going to boil these grips one more time just to get them super clean. See if I can get that in there. So there's where that grip's going to go. You can see plainly the piece that's missing. But now you can also see how nice that fits the frame. I mean, the fit is right on the money. So we were very careful not to remove any more metal than we had to or anything. So that's coming right along. The upper part with the barrel and everything is almost done being grained, and so we should have this thing wrapped up here in the next few days. So I'll keep you posted. So basically we've got all the graining, metal finishing, everything done now. We've repaired all the dings and damage from the barrel change, all pitting. Everything's been done. She's basically ready to blue. This grip on this side we're repairing. It had a little chip right up here in the corner, if you remember. So that's being glued, and we're just letting the glue dry right now. But I just wanted to show you this thing all done like this. It looks pretty cool. I always like to do this on these guns that we've done all the, the graining and metal work on. So there's our finished grained Luger. So you see we saved every marking. There's not one marking that got diminished or compromised. All the graining is going exactly the right direction that it was going. We took very good pictures, made lots of notes before we tore it apart. So you can just see all that beautiful graining there. And like I say, every marking is just as crisp and fresh as it was when it was brought in. So nothing's been lost. So that's pretty important. So that's going to look good once it's all blued. We're taking it in probably today and getting it blued. So, but it was important to get that graining just right. This has got a fairly tight grain. So we used a 60 grit on this. You can see we saved the markings absolutely perfectly. No issues there at all. You can see that. So that graining just looks gorgeous. Everything going exactly in the direction it should be. Up on top, if you remember, when I originally talked to you, the graining went this way, just on this little very top piece, and then it changed. I think I can show you that. It changes to a different direction on the other parts of on the other section. So it runs left to right here, all the way here and down the sides. But then just on this little section right here, it goes that way. So we're exactly the way it was, and everything on top is going exactly the right direction. So that's it. I'm real happy. She's looking good. That grip, we fit that grip in there. It had a little crack, but we glued it, so that's good to go now. But everything's looking just beautiful. Graining on everything is exactly the way it should be. Got that trigger guard, even inside the trigger guard, and the trigger itself, all the toggle assembly is just perfect. So, and if you remember the frame, the safety's falling out here. We've just got this quickly thrown together just for a wow factor. That's the rear grip that was all welded up, and We had it annealed and rehardened, so you can see a couple just minor little marks there I got to clean up before it gets to the bluers, but just wanted you to see this mocked up like this. The grips were boiled, and so you can see, as usual, the boiling just really helps. It cleans them up good, and a lot of the minor damage pops out. So screw head, everything has been cleaned up. All the graining on the bottom's going exactly the way it should go. There's that other area that we had welded up. That front grip was bad, so you can see that's looking awesome. Can't even tell that was repaired. And you remember all the welding that was done, you know, on the metal here, on the where the wood touched. So that's all been cleaned up now. The wood fits perfectly. We just got to make that little repair up here in the corner of this piece, which we've already got it glued in. But just wanted you to see it in this raw metal state. We won't get to see it like this ever again. And the mag, we've already talked about the mag, but there's the finished product, and it just came out gorgeous. I even worked on this area a little bit more because we had a little bit of movement in the metal, just a couple little minor dings. I didn't want to mess with it too much because I didn't want to screw up the nomenclature there, but we did work on it a little bit more, and we got it looking even nicer. So we're going to live with that. We're going to call that quits. We can't get this any better than what that is, and it's 99% now. So you see that bottom piece looks good. So that's going to look awesome once that's all re-blued. And of course, it fits in the gun, no problem. It slides right up in there, so that's going to be good. So that's it for that. That's an important junction in the process. So we're going to take this in, get it blued, and the next time you see it, she's going to be complete. So stay tuned. And here's our beautiful Luger, all blued, all done, all assembled, completed, ready to ship back to the customer. So we just got it back from the black oxide shop, and quick perusal of it. You can see just how nice and rich that all looks. Grips, everything turned out really good. That mag, everything just looks super, just real nice. We'll go over it a little bit slower here in a second. I just wanted you to have a quick shot of it. Really come out good. First Luger, but I'm eager to do more of these. It's really quite nice to do. Now if I get in close, you can see the details in that metalwork. That's what we try our hardest to really duplicate, is the graining. And you can see that nice red spring again. We sent that in and had it re-blued, but it came back that nice red color, so that's good. I like it when they look like they're supposed to. You can see all those Waffen amps. If I move in even a little bit closer, you can see preserve those Waffen amps just beautifully. And you can see the graining in there like it should be. You remember that line up there was reasonably badly distorted from a poor barrel change, not by us, but right up in here, this a bit of damage in here, and that damage transferred down into this area too. But like I say, now you can see that it just looks really good. It came out just excellent. You can see the graining along there. Now on the top too, as I mentioned before, where that 42 is located, the graining runs in a different direction. Just on that very top section, it runs in a different direction, and then it changes back to horizontal. See if I can get seem to have lost my focus here for a second. There. So up on top there, if I move really slow, you can see how the graining runs. From this angle, it's running up and down on the 42 there, and then it changes and it becomes horizontal for the rest of the way. So that's it was important. We took lots of good notes. It was important to me to make sure that it was exactly the way it should be. There's that replacement barrel that he had. So now at least everything, the sheen, the graining, everything matches. So now you can't really tell, other than it's a little bit longer, of course. But so once again, we work hard to make sure that we get that graining. Let's see if I can get, there we go. Yeah, so there, you can see just how nice and machined that looks. And that's how they're supposed to look. I see Lugers that are restored and they just bead blast them and black oxide them. And well, I mean, if a customer's on a budget, well then Yeah, we don't have a lot of choice, but if you want to do it right, it needs to have all the metalwork redone. You see the side of the trigger there, you can see the graining on the side of the trigger, the magazine catch button. If I turn it, you can see around that trigger guard, you can see all the graining in there. That looks nice. All those markings that were there earlier, you can see that's been preserved. That 3513 is just as crisp as could be. Same with that symbol right there. We didn't lose anything. And then the graining just goes up around the trigger guard. You can see how nice we try and make that look as even as we can. Almost like machine-like. And then that grip strap, that's what we want to call it. Sure, it's a grip strap. That was the one, well, both sides, but this side, if you remember, it was all eaten away. So we had quite a bit of TIG weld done to that. But you can see, get in real close even, you just can't tell that was rotted away. So that graining, nice even. There's no evidence of any welding or distortion in that metal at all. So that's good, that's what we wanted. And that grip, now that grip, that was the one that was broken in the corner, and it's so stubborn to take the stain. We keep trying to add darker stain to that corner there. We got the checkering looking good, and it fits nice. So everything is good about it, except just the color is not quite to my liking. But it just won't take any more stain. So, and I just wanted to show, on that safety, you can see how the graining runs. On the frame there, it runs all exactly how it should be. None of the markings were diminished, none of the edges were rounded. I told you in the beginning to pay attention to that piece, how the graining went on that piece, and it's exactly how it is. Once again, on that side too, we preserved the serial number just perfectly. You can see how crisp that is. You can see the graining in there on top. So I'm just really happy. I mean, it just come out gorgeous. So the top is just exactly as it should be. Just going to wipe some of that grease off of there, that oil. That's exactly how that should look now. So our markings are crystal clear. Graining is right where it should be. So everything was preserved just beautifully. Look at that. Yeah, I'm real happy with this one. So, first Luger, but 13 again. But really, quite eager, really, to do another one. This was pretty interesting. I don't know if you can see the graining. Yeah, you can see the graining in there quite nicely. Underside of that frame. So in all that metal under there, on that back side, let's see if I can get a better look with the light here. That was all eaten away too. So once again, that came out just beautifully. There's no evidence at all of the rot that used to be in there. So quite happy. We had this frame annealed and rehardened back up to the original Rockwell. So all that graining underneath there is just nice and detailed. You can see that the grip fits good. There's no, we're very, very careful on how much metal to take away. And you can see that the grip fits both sides very well. All the screw heads look good. They were all cleaned up. You can see the graining in the bottom of the frame there, all around in there. We try not to miss a trick. I mean, I want you to be happy. I want to do more of these. I find this metal work to be rewarding. It's challenging, but it's rewarding. I think that's about it for the actual pistol. I'm going to pull that mag out and show you that mag. We had a lot of time onto that mag with that mag because it was a pretty rough looking unit. But just want to have one last look at that nice sheen. And that's a sheen it would have had when it was new. Like I say, if you just bead blast it and then black oxide it, you're just going to have a satin black Luger, and that's just not quite right. You want to have that nice machined, brushed look. That's how a Luger looks. So we're real happy with that. So I'm going to pack it up in the morning. We're going to ship it out, and hopefully our customer's happy. I don't think he's going to send it back for a redo. I think I'd be satisfied with it. Let's look at that mag for a second. So that mag was interesting all on its own, because it was it's very thin. The metal's thin, and if you remember correctly, it was quite beat up. So we got it looking really good now, and it functions good. It's got to have a loader, of course. Without a loader, you really can't do much with these mags. A little bit of bluing wearing off from being in and out. In the bottom, the base plate, we preserved all those markings very nicely. Base plate had a few little issues in it, nothing too severe, but so we got that looking good. That symbol we saved. So that's it. I mean, it looks good and it runs good, functions good, spring works good now. So that's about it for our first Luger. I think it came out very nice. We've done that Mauser rifle now, and we've done this Luger. We've actually done more Mauser rifles, but I didn't film them. I only film the jobs that I think you'd be interested in, or jobs that are different than what I've normally done. So this certainly qualified. But like I say, it was fun to do, and I'm more than happy to do more of them. So let me know what you think, and send them on down. Thanks.